In this video, I'm turning some popular and iconic board games into LEGO, and having these minifigures compete at them to save their city. Our first game to build is Jenga, an absolute classic where you stack up wooden blocks and try to remove them without toppling the tower. So I got some Lego bricks with the same dimensions as Jenga blocks and built up my own version that's incredibly sturdy. Arguably too sturdy, since you physically can't get any of them out unless you smack it really hard. Let's actually start over, using tiles on top this time so the blocks can slide smoothly past one another. And now our game is ready to play, once I explain what's going on. This evil robot minifigure challenged the civilians of my Lego City 24ville to a high-stakes tournament. Whoever beats the most board games today gets to keep everything. So if we lose, it's taking over the city. No pressure, guys. As things got less and less sturdy, the robot started to play dirty. Garrett was trying to take his turn, and it shoved him into the tower, knocking everything over. That means we technically lost the first game, but we're gonna need a referee to make sure no one cheats going forward. So this is Bella, and growing up, she always wanted to join the chess club at her school. LEGO actually made an official chess set with a surprising number of pieces, but Bella's friends would tease her relentlessly for being a nerd until she joined their football team instead. And eventually, she became a football referee with no free time to play chess at all anymore. Which is a shame because this set is awesome, with all the black pieces and the white pieces, and these little compartments to store them underneath the board. The game of chess is literally thousands of years old at this point, but LEGO is out here making the long-awaited sequel to chess in the form of different themed versions like Pirates, Western, and even Harry Potter. And I wanted to customize this set to be a castle version, with actual kings, queens, and knights that we can use to simulate a medieval battle of strategy with. Even with 3 against 1, the robot took the dub again. But let's keep the war theme going with Battleship, a game where you guess the coordinates of your opponent's naval fleet. I've always thought these Lego candlestick pieces looked exactly like the little pegs from Battleship, so this is perfect. They even fit in the same holes, as well as in the hollow studs on the top of Lego Technic bricks. We've got a 10x10 grid of them, plus storage for the white pins, red pins, and the 5 different types of ships. Now I can double it and give it to the next person, who connected it all together into this box that's really satisfying to open and close. And because it would be boring to just watch the minifigs guess coordinates.
E7.
Miss. Dang it.
B3. Hit that subscribe button.
I built these actual Lego battleships that they can duke it out in instead. We're gonna call that one a tie. And everyone washed up on the shore of a deserted island. This is a mini version of a board game called Catan, with each of these little hexagon segments representing a natural resource on the island. We got wood, stone, sheep, wheat, brick, and a desert. It's basically like Minecraft. Everybody competed to survive, building roads and settlements all across the map. The robot ended up getting mugged by this derpy looking robber, so we finally have our first victory. Point is though, they all made it off the island with their life. And it just so happens that the game of life is next. A really hectic speedrun through all the big milestones. When playing this as a kid, I always made my wife sit in the back seat of the minivan, but these Lego versions of the vans need a track that they can drive around. And I used these hinge pieces to build this colorful spinner, just like in the game, to determine how fast everyone moves through the different stages of life. Like going to school, getting a job, getting married, and buying a house. Well, maybe that last one is unrealistic these days, but don't worry, we are still building a house for Bella to live in later on. I just wanted to build this creepy old mansion from the game Clue first. On a dark and stormy night, someone was murdered inside one of these 9 different rooms. But which one was it? Was it in the library? The kitchen? The billiards room? I love this little pool table, by the way. But is the killer Miss Peacock? Colonel Mustard? Professor Plum? I mean, it's gotta be one of these suspects, but did they use the revolver? Or the candlestick? Or the lead pipe? With all these mysteries and more, the gang decided to split up and look for clues. Be sure to comment your prediction of who did it, where, and with what, and then... Wait a second. Onto the chase sequence! Eventually they got away, and they decided to set a trap to catch the culprit. A mouse trap. After catching a live mouse in my studio last month, this was just the board game I needed. I don't know if I've ever played the actual game that comes with this thing, but the Rube Goldberg machine is always so satisfying to get working. Attempting to recreate the entire contraption in LEGO was challenging, but after dozens and dozens of failed attempts, Now let's find out who this monster really is. Mr. Green? That's right, he did it in the lounge with the knife, and he would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling civilians. Now what do you have to say for yourself, young man? You know, that's not the worst apology I've seen on YouTube, but I would be the sorry one if I didn't at least try to recreate this game out of Lego. I was really proud of this clean looking lettering in the center and my design for the pawns that only uses 3 pieces. Except when they tried to play, the robot destroyed them. I asked my followers on Instagram for ideas of games to build, and some of you suggested Candyland, a game that takes place in this amazing sugary world full of magic and diabetes with a colorful cast of characters like Lord Licorice or Grandma Nut. And there's a candy castle in the back that's literally made out of those edible Lego candy bricks. I did not have enough room for Gloppy, unfortunately. But he's just over here living his best life. You gotta love Gloppy. Anyways, we've also got Connect 4, kind of an underrated classic in my opinion. To make it myself, I combined a bunch of longer bricks, plates, and tiles together into this lattice structure with legs attached that you can slide these discs into to try and connect 4, if you can believe it. Since the robot won, these axle pieces slide out so you can reset the game, just like the real thing. For checkers, we can literally just reuse the chessboard that Bella so desperately wishes she would have stuck with instead of following the crowd. But Mancala is another super easy one. Just gotta fill it up with all these little bitty gem pieces, and there's not even a traumatic backstory associated with it. Some people call this next game Chutes and Ladders, and others say Snakes and Ladders. So to clear up any confusion, we're just gonna send all these snakes down some slides and start shooting at them. There we go. Basically identical to the original concept. Oh, look at this 360 no snake. I couldn't figure out how to recreate the electric jolt functionality from Operation, so I just drew this minifigure with holes in it that we can use as a reskin for the game instead. And now we can surgically remove all these random Lego pieces from inside of Emmett, like his brain freeze, Adam's apple, funny bone, and yeah, we're gonna give that one to the robot. Okay, I want Bella's house to be a mix between board games and soccer. And this table foosball set is a perfect start. Ignoring the fact that you can get a real foosball table for much cheaper, this set is actually kind of cool. And it's fun to compare to this old soccer board game set from the early 2000s, which has spring-loaded players compared to the rods on foosball.
Honestly, I still prefer this one.
But we've got the perfect goalie uniform here for Garrett to face off against the robot's team and actually win?
Let's go.
But obviously we can't just plop an official set in our city as is. I'll just steal these big tile pieces and build up my own stadium with goals, bleachers filled with familiar faces, and lights to put here instead. And we can decorate it with some of the different board games we've built so far, including Gloppy, of course. You know what? Comment Gloppy down below. He deserves it. But trying to build this next game is actually a really big risk. I don't know if we can do it, guys. I took 2 blue base plates with a border around them, then got some pieces and started sketching out this really janky world map based on the original, with this little map legend in the corner showing all the territories that can be occupied by infantry, cavalry, and artillery units. My brother always puts 100% of his troops on Iceland because it's the smallest area in the game. He's never actually won using this strategy, but it takes forever to inevitably knock him out. So while they're doing that, I wanted to make some stereotypical board game accessories, like this sand timer and dice. In 2010, LEGO tried making their own board games that you could build yourself, and some of these are really nostalgic. But they all came with this sort of rubbery dice block that you can customize however you like. Or you can just use sideways building techniques to make a die like this, whichever you prefer. But I realized these tiles are also perfect to make super simple dominoes as well. And for cards, not only did LEGO make these minifig scale ones that came with this gesture guide, they legit just made their own real life playing cards that are actually super cool. To make my own cards, I went ahead and grabbed a couple big plate pieces to add some details on for hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs if you want to play Go Fish or something. I'm not sure why exactly I made this card, but hopefully it won't come back later to haunt me or anything like that. And for face cards, the Queen of Hearts minifigure actually got her own specialty made card in this LEGO set. But because so many of you picked that random Uno reverse card in my Disney video instead, I also designed this brick-built version of the classic counter to literally anything in life, be it insults, speeding tickets, or even yellow cards in football. Wait, let me remake that meme real quick. fantastic. I'm literally gonna add this onto the stadium. And as we all expected, it turns out putting all of your eggs in the basket that is Iceland actually works sometimes. Who would have guessed? But for Guess Who, there's actually already an official set for it. And to remake all the people from the game, I had to build 2 identical copies of each minifigure here. Now they can each choose a person and try to guess who the other side picked.
Does your person have a beard?
Yes.
Twister is a game that's already quite painful, but I'm cranking things up to 11 by dumping piles of Lego bricks on each of the colored circles. Now something like left hand on red or right foot on blue is likely to put you in the hospital.
Sorry.
But it looks like the civilians made a comeback and we actually have a tie. So finally, the game you've all been waiting for, Monopoly, will be the deciding point. Or actually, I'm calling it Legoopoly. Legopoly? Legopoly is leg themed. Anyways, I used a ton of different colored tile pieces to recreate all the different properties around the board. And these minifigure roller skates actually worked perfect for tiny little railroads. I used various silver pieces to represent the players and painted this mustache white for the Monopoly man himself. Now with everything finished, it all comes down to this. Everyone collected $200 for passing go as they set off buying properties and building green houses and red hotels on them. As Bella reflected on all the adventures they've had, she realized her love of board games was never something she needed to grow out of. She used her strategic expertise to help give the civilians a leg up on the competition. And then the robot landed on the space that sent him straight to jail. Ladies and gentlemen, we won! And our city is saved for now. I hope that watching me turn all these board games into Lego helped you to not feel bored. Let me know what we should name this guy for next time, and oh no. Yeah, that's not good.